Hi everyone, it's David here from Legal Practice Intelligence. Today I've got with me Daniel and Erin from Bumped. I'll let them give an introduction in a minute about what they're doing and where they're at, and really interesting sort of concept. I guess came across it through talking with Daniel, another line of conversation around no-code platforms. But what I'll do is let Daniel and Erin introduce themselves properly and talk about Bumped.
Thanks, David, and thanks for having us. Yeah, so I'm Daniel Yim. I've been a lawyer for 10 odd years, mainly in the corporate space, working in big law in-house as well. Yeah, by background, have been a project finance lawyer, but also worked for quite a few years in the legal technology space, done a lot of legal automation work, automating things like financial assistance, whitewash documents, or general security deeds. Pretty dry stuff for most people, I'd say. But yeah, this idea came to me about 2 years ago when my network started to have kids. It's kind of that age. And sadly, very concerningly, people were saying that they were losing their jobs, that they were being made redundant for no kind of good reason or suspicious reasons. Some were just blatantly discriminated against, like the boss just said, "You're going to have a new kid, I don't want you here." Like it's pretty insane stuff. And I didn't know about this issue until that time. I guess none of my friends had experienced it. That was a real shock to the system. But that was 2 years ago, and I was busy doing project financing stuff and helping people finance wind farms and things like that. So it kind of just went to the back of my head. But I do remember at that particular time, I thought, friends, this has happened to so many of my friends, like 3 or 4 of my friends. And in my mind, it was the same story, very similar facts. And I just thought at the time, this would be right for a legal automation solution. They had the usual access to justice issues. It's not economical to hire a lawyer. There's also a 21-day statutory limitation period on these claims.
Wow.
Or at least some of these claims that you could make. Yeah, people kind of struggle to access justice in those situations. Anyway, so it kind of sank to the back of my head. And then earlier this year, I changed jobs and had a bit more time to think about things, and this idea came back. So I had a bit more time to explore it. So first, I kind of looked into the statistics. So there's a big report that was done by the Australian Human Rights Commission, which said that in their findings, it was a very kind of comprehensive and big survey. So in their findings, 18%, that's 18% of women have lost their job because of pregnancy, going on parental leave, or return to work. That's 18%. So that's a horrifying number. Like, I thought, I was just like, oh, like 3 or 4 of my friends have had it. That seems unusual, but I didn't expect it to be 18%.
That's a big number.
That's huge, right? And so when I, saw that, looked, more deeply into the report, really saw this was a really big issue. So yeah, I knew we could probably do something about it. I knew there was technology that was accessible and economical, no code software, automation software. So I could do it myself. I'm not a software engineer. I know a little bit. I'm interested in technology, but I don't code or anything like that. Immediately, I thought Erin would be perfect to talk to about this. She has a deep experience in legal apps. So yeah, I had a conversation with Erin, and then we brought together a team of employment law experts and kind of some people with backgrounds in digital marketing and other social kind of causes, and put it together pretty quickly. So that's a bit about me, and I'll pass over to Erin.
Yeah, I mean, so Dan came to me just over a coffee, kind of in between a break at work. So my name is Erin Kanygin. I'm a legal transformation lawyer. I work at Gilbert and Tobin, and you can hear from my accent, I'm not born in Wollongong or whatever. So I came from Canada, and I actually came to Australia to do the Juris Doctor at Melbourne Law School, and did an elective in law apps at Melbourne Law School. And from that, yeah, really, really cool elective. And there you actually pair with a not-for-profit who gives you an idea, and you then build an app for them. And cool. The app, yeah, really cool course. So good on Melbourne Law School for that. Gary Casley is the guy who runs that. So built this app actually to help prisoners in Queensland with bail applications.
Wow.
And cool idea, pitched it, the app won first place, and it's kind of, the career has taken off from there. And I was lucky enough to get a job at Gilbert and Tobin, which of the corporate law firms certainly has one of the, I mean, the most sort of built out innovation program. There's so much cool stuff going on, and so have been given an absolutely incredible opportunity, including the opportunity to meet Dan. And so we hit it off. And when Dan, went off to greener pastures to do amazing things, he approached me knowing that I have a pretty deep passion and background. Before sort of going to law school, I was doing work with NGOs and have just done a lot of work in the not-for-profit and volunteer space forever. And I'm in corporate at the moment, and I'm absolutely loving building corporate legal apps to help lawyers work efficiently. However, I was in need of a passion project, so this really came at the right time.
That's amazing. I mean, you guys have got a really nice combination of skills. And I mean, it's the sort of the legal side, the technology side come together. I mean, that's what you offer. It's a great place to be in developing these sort of apps. So, I mean, I'm interested more about Bumped and how it works and who accesses it, how they access it. And
yeah, sure. So Bumped is a app. It's a legal app. Which Erin built. Yeah, as you say, David, we had a team of people working on it on the legal side, in particular employment law. So what it is that anybody who's experienced losing their job because of pregnancy or parenting related discrimination can use the app to file a formal legal claim to seek compensation for what's
from the Fair Work Commission.
From the Fair Work Commission. So how it works is they visit our website, which is www.bumped.org.au. So visit that website, and there's a link there to our app, which is hosted on a no-code platform called Checkbox. We've designed the app, and the app will ask the user a series of questions about their situation, about what happened to them. And the user will answer those questions. They're multi-choice question answer. So they'll pick from a list of options, and those options are informed by our experience and all the research that we've done as to the typical things which happen in these circumstances. So they'll answer a series of questions, and after they finish that questionnaire, the app will automatically spit out to them a full and complete unfair dismissal claim, which argues the person's legal case in a legally professional manner and is kind of all complete and in fact ready to file with the Fair Work Commission. Now, when they receive that document, when the user receives that document, they are given an opportunity to obviously read it and edit it, embellish it how they might want. And then they can re-upload it to our app, which will then file the application for them. Once the application's filed, it's the process as the Fair Work Commission runs it. So there's a mandatory conciliation session which happens, mediated by a Fair Work Commission officer, where the user and their ex-employer will try and agree on settlement terms.
Yep.
In 90% or so of cases, it settles before going to any type of contested hearing. But if it does go to a contested hearing, that's heard by the Fair Work Commission. So a lot of you listeners might know that's kind of like a quasi court here. Like it's not a full-blown court. It's a tribunal which is designed for people who don't have lawyers, so they can self-represent.
Daniel, so I mean, just chime in there. I mean, so basically what you're saying, so if I understand correctly, what you're saying is that pretty much anybody who has been potentially discriminated against from point of view of the pregnancy or parenting sort of issue side of things,
including PALIs. So we do, dads are included as well.
Yes.
But basically, so what they can do is they can jump on the platform and they can pretty much answer the questions, get an application, effectively get all the sort of get a document which they can present, and they can actually do a lot of the work themselves within that time frame.
Yes, that's one of the key driving aspects of the tool is that it empowers people to be able to do this themselves. They don't seek a lawyer. So, I mean, a lot of people, when they talk about access to justice, it's like can't afford a lawyer. This addresses that, of course, but it's not even can't afford a lawyer. It's like it's not necessarily economical to get a lawyer for the size of these claims. You know, the huge majority of them are under $10,000, right? Of these types of claims, like that's the standard settlement amount. So it's just not economical for a lot of people to hire a lawyer. I mean, same as me, I'm not going to call a plumber unless I really need to, right?
Yeah.
It's not because I'm going to do a better job than a plumber, but I'm not paying that call out fee, right? Unless it's something really serious. So it's that, and then the other factor is the 21-day limitation period under the statute. So you have 21 days from when you lose your job to make a claim, and if you don't do it within the 21-day period, it's kind of very hard to resurrect that claim under the Fair Work Act. So, you know, using a automated system on the internet is much, puts the whole process in the user's hands. They're not waiting for some lawyer that they've never worked with before to turn around a document when that lawyer's got 60 other cases they're dealing with. People really empowered to take control of this themselves.
And I also did want to just chime in, David, in terms of like, what it does help you fill out this claim. But I think another really special thing about Bumped is it also informs you about what you can and can't ask for. I think a lot of people, when they're in this situation, you don't even know what kind of compensation or other options you have. You can actually ask for an apology, depending on what the situation, and so the app takes you through this and you can select what you want, and we lay out for people what their options are, and they can then take a step back and think about what do I actually want here. And it's probably, given the frenzy of maybe there's a new baby and they've just lost their job and everything is so stressful, it gives you that opportunity to take a step back, understand what your needs and wants are, and then, as we've been saying, take control of that situation.
I mean, the experience you've got, Erin, in terms of developing other apps, I guess, give access to justice and would be incredible in terms of actually creating this particular product.
I think, for sure it's helped, just in terms of, I think, bringing that empathy side and really considering how things need to be programmed. And that's been very consultative with Daniel, and the language that the employment lawyer that we were working with and Daniel provided as well was also just not your standard legalese. So we're coming, we are really coming from we've got the legal, we've got the tech, but we've also, I think, got hopefully the kindness as well, which then just does make this app feel safe and helpful for people.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's a massive social good that you guys are doing. I mean, we're totally this is why we want to get the message out to everyone, because I think it's amazing the work you put your heart and your souls into this sort of into building things like this to give people access to justice. And 21 days. I mean, I'm just staggered. 21 days is such a short time.
It's nuts.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It's definitely very problematic. And I know there's reforms proposed to government to look at that. But yeah, that 21-day thing, as I said, it was one of the key things which said to me, this is going to be useful to people. I mean, no one wants to hire a lawyer unless they have to, and it's so hard to find a lawyer. Yeah, especially if you're from disadvantaged kind of community or something like that. Or even if you're not from a disadvantaged community, it's hard to find lawyers, especially a lawyer that you trust.
That's right.
It's very difficult. So if people can self-help, I think that's a good thing. The other thing we did, David, was we have been working with the community legal sector, like certain people specializing in this work, and it's the story that I think a lot of your listeners will know. They're just swamped, right, with requests left, right, and center every day. It's just a deluge of people in need of legal help, and not enough lawyers to be able to service that. A lot of the community legal space, it's means tested as well. So you have to fit within certain thresholds in order to have someone take on your case. And I mean, understandably so, because they have so much demand. But it means there's a lot of people there.
I mean, like a lot, like the majority of people who just don't meet that threshold.
Yeah. So something that's called like the missing middle, people often called. So they're not, completely destitute. There's going to be, QCs who will volunteer their time to, say, represent these people in court. They're not in that situation, but they're still in need. Yeah. And there's, at the moment, very limited options for them. So hopefully this can help. I mean, this product, Bumped Rates, it's for a very specific issue for pregnancy and parenting related discrimination, which results in job loss. So it's very kind of laser focused. That's how, in fact, the automation. I mean, the automation we're using is hard coded decision tree based, right? It's not some kind of weird artificial intelligence out of MIT or something like that, right? This is very.
I mean, do you think you guys could be starting something here? Like, I mean, I guess I'm thinking to myself, like, globally. I mean, there's probably, I mean, potentially speaking, it could be folks in other countries that are actually looking at what you've done and kind of adapting your framework in terms of actually putting more local laws in place. Is that something you think that you might start off a bit of a chain reaction there in terms of what you're doing?
One can hope.
Absolutely.
I mean, it'd be great if people did hear about this. I mean, I certainly, when I posted about it on Facebook, I actually had family members in Canada saying this happened to me. This is a global issue. Parenting related discrimination, unfortunately, is not unique to Australia, which is awful. And I think it'll just depend. I mean, I really don't know how, for example, this would work in the US or how this would work in other markets, because I don't know what their equivalencies of Fair Work Commission, if they have that sort of kind of kangaroo court, which is again why the unfair dismissal claim it works through this automation option. And there was a lot of thought gone into that, going the unfair dismissal route.
I think it's actually a really interesting point, David. Like the way the law was set up, the way the legislation worked was something which made it attractive to automate. As well, right? So this wouldn't necessarily work for kind of other types of claims which lots of people experience or which are bad or something like that. This was very deliberate in terms of the very standardized way that these claims work, that the system was set up for unrepresented people to run. That there's actually a set form that you have to fill in with the Fair Work Commission. So you're not writing your claim on a blank sheet of paper. So that there were a number of features which were very attractive to us and said, we think this is going to be useful.
Do you think, I mean, it's actually interesting because I think from a community legal standpoint, do you think community legal could be actually engaging a lot more of these sort of, like, these sort of solutions? So I guess plugging these solutions in so that the middle, I guess that middle group that you're talking about before is actually being served a lot more. So looking at these sort of point solutions and saying there's this area, this area, this area here, and I guess funding allocated towards those sort of areas to get those problems solved.
Was he listening into our phone call last night, Dan? We were having this exact conversation last night.
Right. Okay. Maybe I was. No, just
I mean, I think potentially. I mean, how great would it be for these super under-resourced, super busy, can only help certain types of people because of government funding? How amazing would it be if they had tools? And I really hope that the community legal centers, the employment CLCs, now do see Bumped as that option that they can test and then they can trust and then they can send people to, knowing that it's not just saying, oh, well, here's a form, best of luck, which at the moment is essentially all they can do.
That's right. Yeah. Wow.
It's kind of the issue which, if we just talk technology, transformation, innovation generally, it's that whole aspect of people are, super, super busy. And can we find time or brain space somewhere to step back from, the day-to-day kind of churn that we're doing, just trying to put out fires and, get through as many clients as possible and just kind of survive today. Can somehow we take a step back and ask, is there more efficient way to do this at a macro level? That we might need to slow down for a bit. We might need to stop the process for a bit or get extra resources. But in the long term, is a more sustainable solution. If we've got a bucket of money, should we be putting this towards a person who can kind of attend to all these people who are beating down our door trying to get help? Or can we put it towards a technology project which may be able to alleviate much more than that single person can do? And it's hard, right? Because one is you know what the result's going to be. If you get the extra body, they'll be able to service X number of people, and that because you've got 100 people who've done the same thing in the past, right? And the technology is still, it's new. You're not necessarily sure how it's going to go. There's going to be change management to deal with it. As with any technology project, it's an iterative process. So it's not like you put out a product and then you don't need to worry about it anymore. So it's always, it's new for lawyers. I kind of get that. But I just wonder if we can find, if the legal profession generally can find a little bit more kind of space. I know it's hard. I worked in big law, and every day you've got massive pressures. But if we can find that space to step back and look at the entire process, can it be done more efficiently with technology? We might all get to leave the office a bit earlier.
Yeah, I mean, is it? I mean, I'm just thinking about this. I mean, is it something that law firms have got pro bono work they do? I mean, is this part of what they could be offering as their pro bono, part of what the pro bono stuff they do? I mean, having this plugged in there and allowing folks to go and self-service and deal with it. So having a range of these sort of tools that are actually structured to address particular needs.
Why not? The answer is yes. And it's exactly everything that Daniel's been saying. It's a matter of resourcing, it's management, a matter of change management, who you're hiring, how you're involving innovation, how you're getting the right tools as well. I think that we chose wisely with Checkbox.
Great product.
It's a great product, especially for this type of thing where you just want to, iterate, build it really quickly, iterate quickly, collaborate on it. There's not a lot of upskilling with it at all. So, I can be jumping out of the app and then Dan can jump straight in and make any updates. So, that type of thing I think is also really important to look for when you're looking for these, and I would highly recommend no code platforms to be building on.
Yeah, David, I've never thought about what you just said before, but I think it's a fantastic point. And I think maybe law firm pro bono teams should, be thinking about this. Can they make a bigger impact by, putting all their expertise, their great expertise, experience, into a tech product, which can then kind of service many more people than those individual lawyers could ever do?
Well, it's also a triage tool as well. So it's about triage. And what you can do is you can actually figure out where the real need is in the pro bono sort of areas.
I mean, 100%, our tool is one where it will spit out a complete claim, for you. But automation doesn't have to be that. Like a lot of them are triage.
Almost all of, and that's, I think, also an important point. Almost all of them are triage at the moment that we've seen.
And so for triage, it's just like a user just, doesn't really know what their options are, and they can answer some questions. And then
I think one of the reasons why Bumped is quite special is because it actually gives you a legal outcome at the end. Whereas a lot of what we tend to see is tools that you answer some questions and then, you're just given some triage options, and it's always call this lawyer.
That's
It doesn't really help you.
No,
and actually, I think it kind of annoys people because now they've just wasted their time, doing this stuff.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because I think to myself about on that topic of people got to spend, if they're going to spend resource on pro bono, if a firm's going to just put resource on pro bono, I mean, solutions like this can have a massive impact.
Massive.
And hit so many more people.
Well, and I'm thinking just even recently, there was the Afghanistan crisis and we just had to do so many applications. And what if we did, and a lot of that was just form filling, right? So what if instead of doing some, there are a lot of language barriers. So, there are some issues, but there are very clear use cases that corporate firms could be funding their pro bono to be collaborating more with innovation. And one of the issues, that we see is that the innovation team is only so big. We've been set up to help the corporate side. We try and help the pro bono side as much as possible, but then we're spread very thin. So do you have a dedicated innovation corporate lawyer helping with that side? So, there's something for firms to be thinking about for sure.
Or it's almost like you've got a business out there specialized in helping pro bono parts of law firms actually, or the service they offer, do that better.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought.
I mean, where do you see, you guys have done something incredible here, but what do you sort of see? Do you see other people getting into the market doing sort of stuff like you're doing, more of that sort of stuff happening in the local market? Because it's Australian focused, really. Do you see more people doing what you're doing? And what's the future look like?
So, I mean, at the moment, we don't see people doing what we're doing. And that has certainly been reflected in the reactions from, the cyber insurance companies that we've been approaching, who have never heard of anything quite like this.
Yeah.
But I mean, surely this is the future, but it's sort of what Dan was saying, is that before this wasn't accessible. Before, even if you had this idea, you would think that you needed a developer and a coder and back end, and it was just not something that was approachable or affordable or possible for your kind of average, do-gooder lawyer with a good idea. But moving forward, you do have these more accessible platforms, and I think increasingly they'll become more affordable.
Yeah.
And I mean, it would be a very, very different world if we had a bunch of people sort of focusing on all of these different issues.
That'd be amazing.
Because Bumped just solves a very specific issue in a very specific way. And you sort of see by doing it, yes, it is this amazing thing, but you also see how much more you'd like to be doing. I think for me, it's actually just really magnifying in on how massive and complex this issue is and how many different ways you can approach it. And we're only solving for one very small piece of it.
Yeah.
It's a tiny piece. There's some similar companies, not in the discrimination space, but just generally in kind of the self-help space. So a well-known one is Do Not Pay, which is in the UK and the US. That's started up with a guy who developed a tool to help people get out of parking fines. So it would kind of generate kind of correspondence back to the council authority or whoever issues the fines overseas to with a series of common reasons why you shouldn't have to pay the fine. So the sign was obscured, or so that, and they've, I think, recently gotten quite a substantial amount of funding to continue to build out their product. So you do see it. I think with our one, and what's made it possible, in 2021 is the great kind of state of no-code tools that we now have. So 5, 6 years ago, we couldn't have done this because it wouldn't have been economical to hire a developer. But now we can do this very quickly, very efficiently. And, I think, there's a number of great kind of Australian-based no-code companies. So Checkbox is one we're using, but Joseph is another one, which has been in the news recently. So, people can pick the platform which resonates with them. And
of course, Neota.
And Neota. Yep. And I think all lawyers can, be in a position to develop these types of things in this day and age now. It wasn't possible a few years ago. Now it is.
So I mean, one of the things. So should part of the, and you might be able to correct me on this, but should part of the lawyer training be, so people trained to be lawyers, actually should it be sort of compulsory that they learn these no-code platforms? They learn a no-code platform with some description.
That's a whole other conversation.
Yep.
Yes and no. Is that can we go on both sides? So I mean, I do like Clark workshops and grad training, and in that, yes, we're doing those workshops. They are building an app, and I do think it's great.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm gonna, Dan, you finish what I'm saying. I think firstly, learn how to be a good lawyer.
Yep.
I think the awareness is important, though. I do think the awareness is important.
Yep.
And really keeping that innovative spirit.
Yep. So I guess, what does success of this application look like for you guys? What's the success? You say it's a success when you do X or Y. What does it look like?
Our success is tied to our users' success. I'm not just saying that to try and sound nice or anything like that. Like, it's true. We at the moment are in public beta testing, which means that the product, like, it works. There's a few extra checks that we do at our end, so it's not kind of fully automated. There's a registered lawyer, like, looking at everything which goes through the system. Maybe that's even better for the user. But it's really like a testing mode, so we can optimize and tweak and get feedback from our users. We obviously we've spoken to the sector. We've spoken to people who have experienced this in the past in developing our tool up to where it is now. But nothing kind of beats real world testing, right? Someone in the moment actually having to do it. Like, you can't replace that. So that's what we're looking to do now, and really just learn from our users and be guided by them and improve our product. And success, there's no like endpoint for this, right? Because we're always going to be like any technology product, we're always going to be iterating, looking as to how we can improve, expand, and that's going to be informed by our users. So I mean, in terms of satisfaction, though, I mean, our satisfaction is getting our users to have a good result for their case.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess it's been amazing talking with you guys. I mean, I love the idea, I love the work you put into it. I guess it's going to create some, again, access to justice. Fantastic. So I guess what's the best thing? So people watching this video, what do you want people to do next? What sort of what's going to help you guys really get the message out there further to use this platform?
I think tell your friends, tell your family, tell your networks, because that's where most people in this situation go to when they experience it. So they talk to their friends, they talk to their family, they talk to their parents' groups.
Yeah, I was going to say, share on your mom's groups. Also, like, please come to the website, click through, see if you like it, give us feedback, even if you're not necessarily using the app. Like, we would appreciate any feedback at this stage. We really are in beta. So, this is something that Dan and I are working on, but this can be a community project, right? So everyone who is looking at this, like, be a part of it with us, and that hopefully will empower you to feel good about sharing it too.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's the type of thing, they call it point in time product. So most people, well, you won't need it until you need it, right? Until you kind of find yourself having lost your job because of this discrimination, and you're in the 21-day limitation period. And so the chances of, look, there may be a chance that someone is in that time period and kind of searches and finds out about it, but what we're really looking to do is just have awareness just generally in the community. So it's just there, at the back of your head, stored away somewhere, so that when you hear about this happening to your friend or your daughter or your cousin or whoever, you immediately go, oh yeah, heard of Bumped. Maybe you should go check it out. Brilliant.
Look, thanks very much, Daniel. Thanks very much, Erin. Really appreciate your time today. It's been amazing. I think you guys are, hats off to you. You've done an amazing job. And, so basically, if people want to go to the website and check it out, it's www.bump.org.au.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for your time, David.